My name is Scott, and today I'm going to teach you how to drive a 100-year-old car. We've got a 1923 Ford Model T right here. It's one that my dad restored, and it's a little different than a normal car, as you would imagine being 100 years old. So let's go through the steps to drive this car. This is a 1923 Ford Model T. It's a touring sedan, and it has a 4-cylinder engine with 2 speeds, slow and go. First thing we have to do is check the oil to make sure that we're good to go there. Let's do that. This is the transmission. The transmission and the engine share the same oil. So what we have to do here, we don't have a stick to check the oil. We've got 2 valves. The top valve tells you if you have too much oil in it, and the bottom valve tells you if you have enough or too little. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the top one, see if any comes out. A little bit's coming out, but it's not pouring out, so we're good there. If we have some coming out of the bottom valve, then we are good to go. There we go. This is where the radiator is, and this right here allows us to check the level of the water. This has a temperature gauge, tells you if you're overheating, and I'm looking down there and I can see there's water there, so we are good to go there. More important step before we head out, we need to make sure that we have enough gas, and I have the gas gauge with me right here. Here's the gas gauge. We've got a mark for full, half, and E. So you can imagine how that works. Let's show you. Gas tank is under the seat, so we have to pull this up in order to get to the tank. And right here is the fuel cap. Let's grab the fuel gauge down here to make sure I have this oriented properly. Let's see how much we have. Oh, we've got just above E. We may have to add some, but we're just going down the road, so I think we'll be okay. Let's put the lid back on and start her up. Here we have the parking brake, and there'll be more about that when we start driving. First thing we need to do is turn the ignition on. Give it a little bit of gas. We're going to turn the ignition on to battery. And now it should be ready to start. So we're ready to start the Model T. I've got the ignition turned on to the battery. Now we're going to start it manually. It does have an electric start, but I'm going to start it manually just to see how well it will start. It's been running, so it should start right over. So first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have a block under the wheel. That's going to keep it from rolling forward if it starts and wants to go. Second thing we're going to do is I'm going to use the crank to start the engine over, but I have to brace myself with this fender with one arm, and then take the other arm and engage it here. Make sure my thumb is out of the way, and then pull and crank. I'm seated in the Model T now, and I'm going to show you the controls, and then we're going to start off on a little trip. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over from battery to magneto, and this way the car is running off this generator, generating its own power. One thing to note, again, we've got our controls up here for accelerator on the right and ignition advance here. We've got the ignition set correctly, but I can retard it. But I think it's best positioned right there. If I pull on this a little bit, you can hear it advance. So what I'm going to do is I've got to parking brake here that's also neutral and the clutch. So this brake right here is right now in the parking brake position, straight up and down. The brakes are engaged and it's in neutral. And then you've got your pedals here, and these are the brake on the right, reverse in the middle, and the left is the gears. I call that the slow and go pedal because you push it down and go slow, and then when you take your foot off the pedal, then you go. Slow and go right there on the left. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move it from parking to neutral, and now the car is moving on its own because I'm on a little bit downhill brake. So I'm going to step on the brake to stop it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give it a little bit of gas while I hit the first pedal. And now we're going. Now we're going up this hill, and I'm going to give it a little bit more gas. Get up the hill. And now I'm going to stop. I'm still in neutral now when I take the foot off my pedal. And I'm going to get out onto this road here. It's a very rural road. I don't have to worry about any traffic. It's still in neutral. And I'm going to give it a little gas and step on first gear. And now that we're going, I'm going to put it all the way engaged. Now I'm no longer in neutral. I'll give it a little bit more gas. As I get up this hill, I'm still in first gear. And once I level out, I'm going to take my foot off first gear, and that will put me in second gear, and that's cruising. So we're going from slow to go. Now we're going. So this is cruising. I'm gonna go back into first gear, slow it down. Now get ready to go up this next hill. And that's how you drive a Model T. And it's a beautiful day for driving a 100-year-old Model T. Now this is what these cars are made for. They're not really made for paved, calm roads. The rougher, the better for this car. It knows how to do this really well. Now we're going back to the barn. Here we go. I'm going to put my foot back on first gear to slow us down. That actually works better than the brake. Give it a little gas as I stay in first gear. And now back to high gear. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Take some gas off. Still in high gear. I'm going to slow it down with first gear. And back into high gear. Now put it back in neutral so that I can slow. I'm going very slow and I'm going in and out of neutral and low gear just to keep my speed very slow. Now I'm coasting, and I'm going to use my brake pedal to keep my speed down. Back in park. And off. How you drive a 100-year-old 1923 Ford Model T. Do you think you could do that? I think you can with some practice. Good old American ingenuity.